This video is brought to you by soccerloco.com. Be sure to use coupon code SR4UX10 at checkout to receive 10% off any order of $75 or more. Hey guys, Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, bringing you a video today to share my opinions and ultimately review the brand new Adidas CrazyLight pack. I know a lot of you guys are interested in more info on these shoes since I did my original unboxings. The written reviews are coming. I'm hoping to have all 4 up within the next week or so stay tuned for that. What you guys just watched at the start of the video was me taking some free kicks in the CrazyLight Predator and the CrazyLight Nitro Charge, just because I know you guys like it. It's entertaining. It doesn't really have anything to do with the performance of the shoes, but a lot of you guys have been asking for more free kicks on the channel. So for those of you, hope you're happy with the little free kicks you saw at the start. But in today's video, like I said, I'm going to give you guys an overview on the line. I have some positive things to say, some negative things to say, but overall, I think Adidas has done a good job here, which is what we're going to cover in today's video. So with that being said, let's get right into the review. To start things off, let's talk about the CrazyLight F50 Adi Zero. Out of the entire pack, I think that this one is probably the most fun to wear, but at the same time, after wearing it, it's the one that I honestly would not buy, for the simple fact that it's cool to have a shoe that's as light as these are, but the weight gets to the point where it's almost unnecessary, and because of it being as light as it is, there are actually performance issues such as traction as well as stability. I made a video with the first CrazyLight launch where I did a traction test comparison between the standard F50 and the CrazyLight variation. If you guys missed that video, I'll leave an annotation on screen. But because you have smaller firm ground studs and actually a different stud variation where you don't have that center stud and the blades themselves are a lot smaller in size, plus the synthetic upper here is so thin and not really well supported, when you are making those quick, hard lateral cuts, you tend to have a lot of rollover, the studs don't grip the ground particularly well, and the overall performance when it comes to traction just simply is not as good as the standard F50 Adi Zero. As far as touch is concerned, it's ultra thin, provides a really premium barefoot feel, and the overall comfort level and fit of the shoe is very good despite how light it actually is. In comparison to a standard F50, these guys weigh in at about 4.8 ounces in a size 9 US versus 5.8 ounces on a regular F50. So you're only shaving about an ounce of weight, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when it's taken an ounce off of a shoe that's already so light as the regular F50, the CrazyLight is really crazy when you actually wear it. So this is a shoe that, again, For $300, it is only available in size 8, 9, and 10 US, so not everybody's even going to be able to buy it if they want it. But if you are one of those sizes and you were considering this shoe, I would definitely take a strong look at the standard F50 Adizero as well. It's not as light, but it definitely is a stronger overall performer if you ask me. But if you absolutely must have the lightest thing around and nothing really comes close at this point in time, then yes, the CrazyLight F50 Adizero is definitely a shoe that I can recommend, but certainly not my top pick as far as lightweight shoes are concerned. The next model in the CrazyLight lineup is the 11 Pro, which in my opinion is the most confusing of the entire pack. Now the standard 11 Pro has a retail price of $165 versus the CrazyLight version, which retails for significantly more at $250. So that price gap alone is something that I think is going to be hard to swallow for a lot of people who perhaps wanted a lighter version of the 11 Pro, and that's not necessarily what this shoe is. As far as the weight difference is concerned, there definitely is a pretty significant difference. The standard 11 Pro in a size 9 US anyway weighs in at 9.6 ounces versus the CrazyLight, which weighs in at 6.8. So there's about a 3-ounce difference between the two, which is very, very noticeable. And these are, like I said, noticeably lighter, both in hand as well as on feet. But what you miss out on and what they've done to shave a little bit of weight off the shoe is they've incorporated a hybrid touch upper as opposed to a natural calfskin leather like we get on the standard 11 Pro. Now the standard 11 Pro, I think in the first place, is not really widely regarded as the best of the best as far as heritage shoes are concerned, but it does provide that nice premium leather feel, and you just don't get that sensation from the hybrid touch upper on the CrazyLight model. Yes, it's padded. Yes, you get that leather-like sensation, but at the same time, I think it's very noticeable that this is definitely a synthetic shoe, and because of it being synthetic, you just don't get that same feel for the ball overall. It's almost like it's a little bit too dampened. You just can't feel enough of it. It's difficult to describe, but there definitely, like I said, is a very noticeable difference between a leather shoe and what you're getting with the CrazyLight 11 Pro. Of course, you get the Adizero Sprint frame with the stud pattern, which I really like. It's different from what you're going to get from a standard 11 Pro, yes, but not necessarily better in my opinion, and it really just depends on what you're looking for from a pair of soccer shoes as far as the stud pattern is concerned. But yes, this one does perform the part, and it's an overall a very comfortable shoe. No real gripes about that. I just don't like the hybrid touch synthetic upper in comparison to the standard leather upper we saw on the regular 11 Pro. I think if they would put that upper on this shoe, it would have been a lot better. Plus, I'm really not crazy about these graphics. It's a really odd looking shoe if you ask me. Not my cup of tea personally, but again, if you don't mind the synthetic upper, if you really want that lightweight feel, perhaps you just really like how this shoe looks, then the 11 Pro CrazyLight is certainly not a bad shoe, just not my pick of the entire CrazyLight pack. The next model in the CrazyLight pack is the CrazyLight Adidas Predator Instinct. Now this is the one model out of the entire pack that made a lot of sense to me for the simple fact that the Predator Instinct in the first place isn't a heavy shoe, but it certainly isn't the lightest shoe around. So they could definitely shave a little bit of weight just by simply incorporating that sprint frame. They have done a little bit more to shave the weight, but overall, it's just a good shoe. If you're looking for a lighter version of the Predator Instinct, this is definitely the shoe that you should consider. Now, as far as that weight is concerned, in a size 9 US, a standard Predator Instinct weighs in at about 9.6 ounces versus the CrazyLight model, which weighs in at 6.8 ounces. So there's a 3-ounce difference between the two shoes, which is very significant. You're going to notice that weight difference both in hand and especially on feet. So again, if you just wanted a lighter version of the Predator Instinct, this is definitely the shoe for you. But what I like about that is that they've made the weight lower, but they've incorporated all of the Predator elements that you would want and get on the standard Predator Instinct. It's a hybrid touch synthetic upper, although it is a little bit thinner, which honestly doesn't make for too big of a difference in terms of the overall feel, if you ask me. You get all the rubberized lethal zones on the surface of the upper, so all that extra grip is still a feature on the CrazyLight Predator Instinct. You get that gel pad here on the medial side, which I mentioned in my standard review of the regular Predator Instinct that it wasn't super noticeable because you already got padding from the hybrid touch synthetic upper, but because this upper is actually a little bit thinner, you do notice that little bit of extra padding here on the medial side, which is a nice little touch and something that, like I said, is a feature that's more noticeable on this shoe versus the standard Predator Instinct. Same lacing system, same heel liner. You even get that Velcro heel lining at the base of the heel as well as on the bottom of the tongue, which is one of my personal favorite features of the Predator Instinct. Glad they incorporated on this shoe. And then of course you get the Adizero sprint frame and stud pattern, which is part of the reason why this shoe is so much lighter than the standard Predator Instinct. It's thinner, it's a little bit closer to the ground. You get the bladed studs from the Adizero versus the studs you get with the standard Predator Instinct, which I personally prefer. Some people may have different opinions. It's a little bit more aggressive as well as far as traction is concerned if compared to the standard Predator. But overall, it's a great performer and a great alternate more lightweight version of the Predator Instinct. So again, if you're looking for a lighter version of the Predator, this is the shoe for you. It's a great performer. It maintains all the elements of the standard Predator, but in a more lightweight form factor. And honestly, considering the price difference between a standard Predator, which retails for $220, and the CrazyLight model, which retails for $250, only a $30 price difference. I think if you really want that lighter feel, the $30 is definitely something that you can tolerate. It's not an unreasonable premium to pay for this particular shoe, if you ask me. So again, if you're looking for a lighter version of the Predator, this is a shoe that I can strongly recommend and thoroughly enjoyed using. The final shoe in the CrazyLight pack is the Nitrocharge 1.0, which dare I say is the best of the pack, the most unique of the pack, and even better than the standard Adidas F50 Adizero. So if you were considering a pair of F50s, I would take a really strong look at the Nitrocharge 1.0 CrazyLight, and I'll tell you why. Now to start things off, in comparison to the standard Nitrocharge 1.0, that shoe retails for $200 US. These guys cost $250 US, so it is a $50 premium, but it's not really a logical step up from the standard Nitrocharge 1.0 just because they're two completely different shoes. As far as weight is concerned, a regular Nitrocharge in a size 9 US weighs in at about 8.2 ounces, whereas these guys weigh in at 6.6. So it's about an ounce and a half difference in weight between the two models, which isn't overly significant, but certainly is noticeable when you have the shoes on feet. The biggest difference between the regular Nitrocharge and the CrazyLight model is pretty much everything except the energy pulse band, or the energy sling, sorry, running through the forefoot area. The upper does not feature any of the protective mesh or protective padded elements in the rear portion and midfoot area of the shoe. You do have, like I said, the energy sling running through the forefoot. You don't have the same sprint frame. You don't have the same stud pattern. You don't have the energy pulse system in the forefoot, which essentially is just a stiffer reinforcement. And for the most part, this just feels like a completely different shoe. What you do get is a thinner hybrid touch synthetic upper, which is thinner than the standard Nitrocharge, but a little bit thicker than the standard F50 Adizero, or even the messy F50 for that matter, but still very thin, soft and flexible, high quality, no complaints with that whatsoever. And they've incorporated, like I said, that energy sling rubberized element running through the forefoot. It works directly with the lacing system, and when you put this shoe on, it fits well as it is, but when you pull those laces tight, this energy sling rubber material really wraps your foot nicely, keeps it locked in place, and when you are making those quick cuts and changes of direction, it does not allow the upper to stretch or move or roll over in any way, just creating a nice responsive feel. So it's a slightly thicker, more padded version of the F50 Adizero with a more responsive feel overall due to that energy sling on the upper. Of course, the sole plate and stud pattern is the same as a standard F50. It's part of the reason why this is so light. And again, if you're looking for a more responsive, perhaps a slightly more protective version of the F50 Adizero, the Nitrocharge 1.0 CrazyLight is definitely a shoe to consider. And as far as the price gap is concerned, a standard F50 is going to run you about $200, whereas a messy F50 is going to run you about $220. So if you can justify the extra $30 for a Nitrocharge 1.0 CrazyLight, then I would say 100% this is definitely worth it. Plus, I think it is the best looking shoe of the entire CrazyLight pack, but that's besides the point. So again, Nitrocharge 1.0 CrazyLight, really good shoe, really overlooked at the moment. And again, if you were considering a pair of F50s, this is a shoe that I would really take a good hard look at. Alright guys, that's it for my review of the CrazyLight pack and my opinions on every individual model. I think Adidas has done a good job here as far as performance is concerned. I know not everybody is happy with how they look, but if we're talking strictly performance, every model in the lineup does have something to offer depending on what you're looking for. And like I said, if you can justify the premium price tag that they're asking for these CrazyLight models, then yes, every single one is worth it in its own way. Some are better than others, but again, it's up to you to justify which one is best suited for your yourself and your preferences when it comes to feel. So that's pretty much it for my review, guys. If you enjoy this format style of review, let me know down below in the comments. Leave the free kicks at the start kind of as an entertainment thing, and then for those of you guys that want the details and want the information, want to hear my opinions, you can kind of just stick in the video and listen to what I have to say. I like this format personally, but again, it's down to you guys, and just let me know down below in the comments if this is something that you like or you prefer the more standardized play test where I just talk over footage for the entire video. So let me know down below in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, want to see more like it, be sure to support it with a like. That would be greatly appreciated. Like I mentioned earlier, the written reviews are on the way. I'm just in the process of finishing everything up, and I'm hoping to have all 4 reviews up, hopefully perhaps by the end of the week, within the next 7 days or so. So keep checking back to the website, soccerreviewsforyou.com, if you're interested in those. In the meantime, if you want to check out those review pages, there's going to be links to all 4 down below in the description, so be sure to go ahead and check those out. You'll find the high quality images. The full written reviews will eventually be posted there, and you'll also find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes where you can pick up all of the CrazyLight models below their retail prices. So be sure to check that out. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, thanks for watching.